I'm wondering if now that he's enlightened and he talks about everything so transparently, is he going to talk about his gear use? Because that's what I want to know. Is he going to come out and talk about what the real reason why he came off of gear? What's up guys, Derek, moreplacemore8s.com. Today we are going to be reacting to Connor Murphy getting surgery without anesthetics. So this looks like a hair transplant by the looks of the thumbnail, and the, let's see the comment section. Moreplacemore8s has entered the chat. Let's see, anything else in here? This is interesting, very disappointing. You talk about pain and suffering being illusory, but you're scared of going bald. He says, LOL, I'm not scared, nor would going bald bring me suffering. I would just prefer to have hair. Because most of us would, yeah. Preferences don't cease, no matter how enlightened you are. If you didn't have preferences, you wouldn't even get out of bed in the morning. Yeah, I guess. So obviously, as most of you probably know, Connor has undergone quite the, metamorphosis over the past year in terms of his, I don't know about belief system, but just like, his behavior, how religious he, appears to be. And he also has talked a lot about, I'm not gonna, you can watch his channel if you want to get deep dives into what he is mostly making content about nowadays. But as you know, or you might know, I don't fucking know. You might have seen my old videos on his hair loss journey. So back in the day, Connor had started experiencing pretty aggressive androgenic alopecia to the point where he had intervened and got a hair transplant. He ended up doing that, but he avoided traditional medications, and in fact, he ended up going after this kind of event happened in his life, he went so hardcore natural that he ditched every single medication he was on, because he speculated that if he just decalcified his pineal gland, vitamin K2 and some other shit, and just did use topical probiotics and stuff like that, that he could naturally regrow his hair. And I made a video about that. I forget what it was called. It was like Connor Murphy misinformation hair loss or something. And in that video I told him, I was like, dude, when the finasteride has worked its way out of your system and the 5-alpha reductase enzymes have been restored back to baseline, you start 5-alpha reducing those androgens in your scalp again. This is not whatever, temporary not progression of androgenic alopecia you're experiencing now after coming off the meds is not that the natural means are just as satisfactory. Rather, it's that the drug has not worked its way fully out of your system, nor is the pharmacologic effect that is residually lingering exited your system yet either, because it's not just the half-life of the drug when it comes to 5-alpha reductase inhibition, it also is the actual restoration of enzymes that have not been suicidally inhibited. So with him, it was just a matter of time before shit started to progress again. And as you can see, it does not seem to have been, cutting it. And here he is again, getting another hair transplant instead of, going back on medications that could otherwise either prevent it from getting worse or, potentially get some regrowth. So anyways, let's see what he says in here.
Do you think it's gonna hurt?
Yes.
Yo, what's up guys? So I just got another hair transplant and I attempted to do the entire procedure without any medication whatsoever, not even topical anesthetic, which I believe has never been attempted before in the history of hair transplants. So this is a fairly historic video. How did it go? Well, watch the entire video and find out. So why did I get a hair transplant? Well, over the past couple of years, I've been attempting to regrow my hair naturally. It's actually been going fairly well.
Okay. Obviously it's not, dude. Stop bullshitting people. I totally support, getting a transplant, doing everything, blah, blah, blah. But don't mislead people and say that your natural shit that you did in this video 8 months ago has made any difference at all. At all, dude. We both know it didn't work. So stop fucking putting out this information, please.
Progress has been slow, but it has been progress. But
if there was progress, you would not be getting another transplant, dude. That's just, I don't think people are... If I went back and objectively looked at the last 8 months, I would not say things have gotten better. I'm not trying to be a dick about it. I'm just trying to say that that is factually what is happening in my opinion. I do not think these natural interventions have any therapeutic efficacy whatsoever, and implying that they made a difference is just kind of ridiculous because they didn't. If you were actually seeing legitimate regrowth, would you be hopping into a transplant chair? Probably not. Like, okay, that's a bit misleading because even for me, like I'm probably gonna get a transplant eventually too. Even if I can stave off loss, to get like aggressive regrowth in dead zones or severely diffuse thinning zones, it can be difficult to the point where the pharmacology needed to actually achieve that may be undesirable. Some people don't want to use that much drugs. Some people don't want to expose themselves to, you know, the full gambit of shit, or just don't respond that well to the full gambit of shit too. So my stance is more so on the comparison that he makes of natural interventions to the actual pharmacology that works. Like when you're trying to convince people to get on, like vitamin K2 should already be in your fucking diet. You should not be deficient in a lot of the shit you're talking about. Having a dysregulated like gut microbiome, having like shit health. Like this kind of stuff should be regulated through your diet and lifestyle rather than, oh, this is like an intervention for hair loss and you have to be supplementing with a topical probiotic. Like, no, bro, I dispelled the fuck out of that in your video. And it was not something that does not move the needle whatsoever. So implying that there's some sort of natural means to replicate the therapeutic efficacy you get out of pharmacologic treatments that have been tried and true for decades at this point, that are well tolerated, etc., it's just silly.
Over the 40-day fast, I definitely lost quite a bit of hair due to the lack of nutrients. After the 40-day fast, I gained some of it back, but I was like,
okay, yeah, that's a good point too, because when you are severely depriving yourself of micro and macronutrients, obviously that's the building blocks for actual hair. So, you know, expectedly, you're not going to grow hair as well. That is a good point.
you know, I could use some help, right? And there's definitely some hair around this area, right around the hairline, that simply isn't going to grow back from natural means. It's too far gone. So,
oh, well, there you go. Yeah, so I'm not really sure what he means by the, you know, the natural thing was working slowly but steadily. It's like, it's not, dude. Things are they're getting worse. Like, that's just how it fucking works. That's the progression of androgenic alopecia. When you're not doing anything to protect yourself from the androgens, that is the outcome, unfortunately. You end up having to get work done on your temples and shit.
I was like, why not get it touched up, right? And I thought I could do this epic YouTube video as well. So, first of all, before I get into it, should you get a hair transplant? Well,
see, the thing I'm interested in is, if you recall correctly, years ago, the reason I speculated that he ended up losing so much size in such a quick period of time is the fact that I speculated he was a fake natural. And I thought that was pretty obvious by the drastic change in his physique over that short duration of time, where he pretty much, his physique lost like 10 to 15 pounds of lean muscle blatantly. He never recovered back to that physique thereafter. And it just coincidentally happened that he was starting to aggressively experience androgenic alopecia at the time. So that was actually like my first video that blew up, I think. I actually know my egg white video probably was. I don't know. But that video, I speculated that he was on gear. You know, that's literally what his channel was revolved around, is him having a primed physique to go do these, you know, like approach videos and shit. Started noticing severe androgenic alopecia. He knows that androgenic alopecia is expedited by androgens, so he was forced to come off of them. Physique regressed pretty significantly, and he knows he can't go back on the androgens because it would progress his hair loss even further, and that's kind of, you know, what expedited it to begin with. And then he was in a position where he couldn't jump back on and get the physique back that he had in the first place. So does it make any logical sense for a guy who is in his early 20s to suddenly lose 10 to 15 pounds of muscle despite literally your life revolving around your physique? It's not that hard to maintain your physique. It's not that hard to get in the gym and lift for an hour a few times a week. Look at fucking Kino Body. Does his physique regress even if he's balls deep in business? No, he trains like 3 times a week. And I believe he's actually, you know, natural. That guy, does his physique like suddenly drop 10 to 15 pounds? No, because he's a fucking natural. Whereas Connor Murphy, who's walking around at like 200 pounds lean, all of a sudden melts down to, you know, significantly less than that, and you know, blames it on, oh, I'm bulking, oh, I'm cutting, oh, I'm doing this, oh, I'm doing that. So I'm wondering if, now that he's enlightened and shit, and he talks about everything so transparently, is he going to talk about his gear use? Because that's what I want to know. Is he going to come out and talk about what the real reason why he came off of gear? Because that is really old thing now, and maybe people have forgotten about it, but you know, he brings this shit up and sort of brings it back into the limelight. Like, it makes me wonder, like, how enlightened are you, bro? Are you going to talk about your hormone use, or just brush it off and say the natural shit regrows hair and it's all, you know, it's all fine?
if you think a hair transplant is going to bring you happiness, if you think a hair transplant is going to fulfill you, if you are getting a hair transplant out of some insecurity, I would dig a little deeper, because you will not find happiness trying to manipulate the external world. Okay? Jesus said, clean the inside of the cup. and then the outside will be clean. You must fix your internal world first before the external world is fixed. Because essentially the external world is just a manifestation of your internal world. So you will never become happy from any sort of content of reality, experiences, relationships, materials, okay? Liberation comes from understanding your true nature, understanding the context of reality.
Yeah, I guess that's like reasonable to say. You know, I'm not fully in line with his, you know, the context of the way he's presenting it, but, you know, if your mental health is fucked up, for example, like no matter what you really do, you could be depressed. How many people who are, you know, rich and famous, like hate their lives for, you know, whatever reason, you know, everyone seems to think like, how could this guy be possibly unhappy? And you have some like the biggest drug abusers, some of the most unhappy and depressed individuals are like mega stars that you would be like, there's no fucking way you have anything wrong in your life. And a lot of it does come into scientifically, I would look at it from, you know, internal actual health. You know, your mental state is going to determine how things externally, you know, affect you and how you perceive the world around you. So, for example, if your diet model is complete garbage, they've shown in clinical data that if you have you literally inject exogenous inflammatory cytokines, you can literally induce depression. Like there's a lot of shit that is going to be regulated by your diet and lifestyle and sleep hygiene that can literally dictate how you respond to the world around you. And obviously he's coming at this more from a spiritual angle, but a lot of it is, you know, like what you take in, what you intake literally like fucking nutrient wise and whatnot is going to dictate you are what you eat or whatever the fuck the saying is. And a lot of people don't realize how significantly their mental health derives from what they're doing to their bodies.
Realizing that you are infinite consciousness and that you are simply experiencing this character, but you are not this character, or you are not only this character, right? Understanding the video game nature of reality. And once you realize that this is just a character, then go for it. Upgrade your character. I mean, your character is here to have fun with, enjoy this amazing reality. So go ahead and upgrade your character, but do so with non-attachment, because if you identify with the character or anything that the character does or anything that the character has, this is all impermanent and it will lead to your suffering inevitably.
Man, it's fucking depressing.
Okay, so how was I able to even attempt this procedure without any anesthetic whatsoever? Because if you ask any doctor, they're gonna call me absolutely crazy. Like, no, there's no way, you can't handle this pain. These are giant thick needles poking huge holes in your head, okay? Well, throughout thousands of hours of meditation, I have a different relationship with pain and emotions in general, okay? See.
Okay, so it doesn't sound like he's talking about the natural hair loss stuff anymore. It's more like the pain tolerance induced by spiritual awakening, I guess.
But no experience is inherently negative. And you don't have to see pain as a sense of self that you have. You think that you're this entity behind your eyes looking at the world, right? Well, that self doesn't really exist, okay? It's this complex configuration of thoughts, essentially. And through deep meditation and conscious work, you can realize that this is an illusion and that you're actually the entire field of consciousness, right? And so when you have this experience of no self, you can look at this new perspective and realize, really just this culmination of thoughts. And the pain isn't happening here. And that's how I experience pain now.
Dr. Arocha, the best hair transplant doctor in Texas. So we're doing something a little interesting today. So we're planning on giving me, what, about 2,000 grafts? A little bit on the top and a little bit throughout here.
Yes.
And we're doing something very interesting. So normally when someone comes in to get a hair transplant procedure, what are the medications that you give them?
Okay.
I got you. So
Be able to do half a procedure with no anesthesia or pain medicine or anything to decrease your pain and discomfort. He didn't.
anesthetic helps with the bleeding a little bit, I suppose, right? So
the topical, the anesthetic, yeah, there's a little bit of it.
So no mention of, pharmacology whatsoever. No advisement of getting back on finasteride or minoxidil unless I skipped over it. But it seems like the video was more so about pain management than actual hair loss prevention tactics. So, my stance is basically what I said at the beginning. I don't think it's responsible to really push natural things that are not proven to work whatsoever on people and lead them into believing and implying that you can prevent androgens from doing what they do simply via the intervention of topical probiotics, some vitamin K that should already be in your fucking diet, things like this. So anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Do you think that the natural shit holds any, I'm not saying it has no therapeutic promise, by the way. I'm saying that the stuff he's described specifically is not a replacement for the pharmacology. That is my kind of stance on it. So anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. All the comments help the algorithm. They're much appreciated. Like, subscribe, check out my blog, moreplates.com, follow me on Instagram, and moreplates_moredates, Facebook, Snapchat, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Apple Podcasts. If you want to support the channel, you can check out anything I'm associated with in the video description below, including my TRT clinic. It's all telemedicine from the comfort of your own home. You can get pharma-grade, FDA-approved hair loss medications through the clinic, as well as lab work, diagnostics, and blood work to assess your hormone profile and other biomarkers to assess your health, overall quality of life, from a blood work aspect, as well as just figure out if you have any, symptoms of anything, if you have any imbalances or deficiencies that can be worked out. We have high quality PCCs and doctors on staff ready to interpret that for you and help create a protocol designed for you individually, your own individual needs and whatnot. So anyways, anything else I'm associated with, it's all in the video description below. Thank you guys for watching. Talk to you soon.